Hi, and welcome to the Scenic Route podcast. This is the show for building a successful and sustainable business on your terms. My name is Jen, and I'm a rebranding sociologist with a soft spot for rhubarb pie. Each week, I'll strive to expand your branding, business expertise, and mindset capacity. I'm so excited you're here, and now let's get into today's episode.
Meet Mary Alvizures from Share Your Magic, an intuitive brand strategist and website designer for soulful entrepreneurs. When it comes to being online, you want to be seen as the light leader you are. That's where Mary comes in, designing soul-aligned brands and websites that make you a lot of dollars. Born and raised in sunny California, now she resides in Austin, Texas. When she's not designing and supporting others in sharing their magic, you can find her on an adventure, unplugged, or dancing it out in her own bubble of joy. Mary, welcome to the Scenic Route podcast. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, me too. This is going to be a great conversation because we do the same thing.
Yeah.
We both work in branding. So this is going to be really cool. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So Mary, people already know you and I were both in branding, but can you briefly walk us through your story? Like how you started and how you got where you are today? What were the pivotal crossroads and the big moments in your journey?
Of course. Well, it's funny because I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was little. When I would sometimes people play house, like pretend house. I used to be like pretend business.
Oh, yeah, like office business or like shop business?
Like office business. Like I had offices and like different businesses. It was really funny when I was little. And so it was always in me. And throughout my 20s, I experimented in different things. I had a jewelry line. I did some photography. Every time I was at a family party, I had a new business. For years, I felt like the joke of the family because I was like, oh, I'm going to see my cousins. And
but they're not related. So you're not like you gained a new business idea at family meetings, but you were okay.
Yeah.
Every time if you would come up with new ideas when you're at a family meeting.
No. Every time I saw my family, like, big reunion, like something,
they'd be Mary, like, what are you doing?
Oh, well. Yeah, I started a business. So
you get like the eye roll, like, okay, Mary's at it again.
Again, what are you doing now? I've dabbled in so many things, but
that question never gets old, right? That's like, I know my parents kind of stopped asking what I do because they're like, I try to explain it and then they're like, eh? Well, the branding part is not so difficult, but like the coaching part gets a bit more tricky. And now they're like, that podcast, I just talk to people. Well, and I told them it's kind of like a radio host, and that's what they're getting that. So
that makes total sense. My parents don't even know I have a podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't listen to it, but also because English is not their native language, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the impression any of those topics would resonate with my parents. But that's another episode.
Yeah, definitely. So I was dabbling in all these different businesses, and finally, I remember it was with my best friend. We were like, okay, we don't want to work corporate, and we want to be business owners. Like, let's do something like really cool. Like, let's really get serious and do something. So her and I started off as event planners. Ooh. And it was really, really fun, but also very stressful. Yeah, and they say when you're an entrepreneur, you have to love it 100%. And I was 98% there. And I was like, there's that 2% that's missing. And it's killing me because I can't get through these hurdles that are coming up or, these moments. I love it, but I'm like, at any time I can quit or I felt like I wanted to. And I was like, that's not fair to her. Yeah. And so I ended up leaving that business and she continued and we're still friends. And it was such a heartbreaking moment at the time, but it all worked out so well. And she's thriving in her business. She's an amazing event planner. And so I kind of branched off on my own. The part that I liked about event planning was the creativity part, the design part, which is all that I do now. Yeah. And I told myself, okay, I was like, well, maybe I'll start freelance graphic designing. And I was like, I could work with event planners, several of them. But then, that didn't really go that way. I eventually just got into web design and branding and I fell in love with it. And I was like 100% in it. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is right. This feels good. And so I'm really grateful to say
Yeah.
I'm over 6 years in business now. So yeah, it's been,
Congratulations. That's amazing.
yeah, thank you. The first 3 years were really hard.
Well, I don't know. Can you even call yourself entrepreneur if the first 2 years in business haven't been a shit show? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, can you? Like, no, sorry. That's kind of like a badge of honor you gotta earn. Like, you gotta go through to like the valley of despair within the first 2 years. Otherwise, it's like, eh.
Yeah, I totally get that.
So was it just always like the knowing that with the event business that just something was off and it like you couldn't contain the energy that was needed or like the stamina, or how did it show up?
Yeah, like I loved a lot of it, but there was parts where like it could also be really stressful. We had really high-end clientele, so there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of
Mm-mm.
negotiating. And it didn't feel right for me. I was like I'd be in these stressful situations and I'd be like, I don't want to be in this. Like, can I just go
Mm.
back to like choosing the colors of the party?
I know the fun parts.
And she was really good at that. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like, we had these ideas, and I just, again, something felt off. And I'm really glad I honored that. And I was like, we're best friends. This could go
Mm.
either really good or, this
The
could also,
breakup. Yeah.
yeah, break us up in
Yeah.
the future. But I think I got off at the right time, got off that train. And like I said, we both did our separate businesses. We grew
Yeah.
our businesses together, and we're still best friends till this day. So it's really awesome. It worked out
Yeah,
perfectly.
that's amazing. Yeah, because right, as you said, like it could have gone either way, or at least in your mind, you're probably overplaying the "she's gonna hate me forever" part
Oh yeah,
massively, right? Like,
I was heartbroken, and I was heartbroken for myself. I was heartbroken for her. And I was like, how do I break this up without like losing our friendship? But it all worked out.
how did you move through with that big step in the end? Like, what was kind of like the I don't know, the final feeling or push or whatever that you were like, okay, no, we got to do
Yeah.
this.
So I went to go pick her up that day, and I was like, hey, let's go. I was going to her house, and I would always go to her house, and I would always come in, and I was like, no, I'm not going to come in. I was like, come out. And she was like, where are we going? And I was like, let's just go for a drive. We got to
Oh,
the back,
that
like, the
well,
parking
there's
lot.
never something good coming after after a sentence like this.
She didn't even know. She was just like, okay. I was like, let's go pick up food or something. So we ended up at a restaurant, but in the parking lot. And then I just kind of tell her, and I was just like, you know what? I still want to be there for you. So, if you need support, I'm here for you. But like, I'm not in this, and I don't want to be a part of this, but I still want to, have our friendship and stuff. And I'm just crying the whole time. And then she's crying.
Poor babe. Oh no, poor soul.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she was like, okay, I get it. She's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. And yeah, I slowly let that go. Like I was just every time doing less and less and less until I kind of just did my own thing. And then it was just like, okay, I'm too busy. I can't actually design for you anymore. And then so, she grew her own team and, got her other people
Yeah.
to help her. So yeah, it all worked out. But yeah, it was a really hard conversation because I hate hard conversations. As does everybody.
Yeah, like I do for sure, but I always blame my Enneagram 7 for this. So.
Yeah. But I'm glad, like I said, I honored myself and I
Yeah.
got through that. And she was really, understanding, and that's really beautiful too. And we've been like, growing our business. It's like, a business is like having a baby, right? I don't have children yet, but a lot of people compare it to that. And I'm like, it's like we raise our children together.
Yeah, and it can only like account for the first 2 years of having a child, and like it is a shit show too. Like, you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. Like, it's yeah. So my partner and I we coined a term like good enough parenting, like which is like good enough, and like that's so true for business too. I feel, especially when you're starting out, right? Like you kind of like have all these ideas of all the bells and whistles and shit, and it's you all what you the only thing you need is to just like the good enough to get going.
Exactly. I am a recovering perfectionist, and for being a perfectionist and a designer is hard.
Oh, I know. Luckily, since I work in design for Jesus, more than 20 years now, I recovered a long time ago where I'm like, nope, no one's gonna notice. If you're gonna change that spacing, Jen, no one cares. So just like whatever.
Exactly. It's good enough. And I don't know how I got there, but I did, and I'm so
Yeah.
grateful because yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm obsessing over like the little spacing. Exactly. And I'm
Mm.
like, I'm gonna send this to the client. They're not gonna notice. Or I'm gonna be like, hey Mary, can we move it to the left? And I'm over here trying to perfectly center this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know what cured me though, in my case. I had this really bad like luxury packaging, like luxury cosmetic brand client, and they reprinted their like packaging. And we were literally like at the printers, and they're like, oh, it needs to have 1% more magenta here and one like percentage yellow less there. And we were like color correcting while they were kind of like printing. And it was like, so I'm there. That was like, no, okay, no. Someone get me out of here. So that was bad. But I mean, yeah, not that. I mean, there's something to say for quality, but there's also people who say, well, you can overdo it. Like, what? Tell me, what was the biggest? Like we said it before, like the first 3 years were kind of like the value had some value of despair moments. What was the biggest thing you fucked up during those first years?
I would say so my first 3 years I took like every course like under the sun on how to grow a business, how to get clients,
Yeah,
how
that's
to this,
another
how to
like
that.
rite of passage you have to go through if you're
Yeah,
gonna be an entrepreneur.
I joined coaching programs and everything, and I think my biggest fuck up, or I mean, I'm okay that I went through it, but I'm like, oh, if I could do it again, I would do it differently.
Yeah.
Is trying to find like validation for myself and others, I think is what it was. Like,
Ooh.
yeah, if I would have just looked within or done like the inner work at an earlier stage, I wouldn't have gone through like the shit show or like all the like I hit some low points.
Yeah.
And I think because I would like sign up for a course and I wouldn't complete it, or I wouldn't like get the results that other girls were getting or other business owners were getting, and I would be hard on myself for it. I'm like, what? Like I tried the same thing. How come I didn't get 10 100 signups? I only got
Yeah.
10 or whatever that looked like. Or like, man, everyone had a really good webinar. Like my webinar was like not that great. And I would be like, it was hard. It was like being in school again, and you just
Oh,
didn't do
yeah.
good.
Yeah,
And
and
so
yeah, and you're getting weird quizzes and tests by online coach gurus and shit.
coaches
Yeah.
and gurus and
Yeah.
stuff. And I did learn some really valuable things. But the thing is, it's like I later on doing like inner work and like learning about myself, I'm like, I'm not even supposed to be on webinars. That's not my thing. And I'm over here like, being really hard on myself for like, messing up a webinar. So, just things like that. I'm like, oh man, if I wish I would have learned about myself a little earlier, or, done a little bit more inner work and
Yeah.
like healed some wounds that I had, from like childhood and things, of not feeling worthy enough, not feeling good enough, or like, all that
Yeah,
perfection
those are
and
big.
things like that.
How did those like childhood wounds show up in your business?
Oh man, it was overgiving. I was always overgiving to clients.
Oh, lack of boundaries.
Yes, lack of
Mm,
boundaries, just trying to
mm,
people please my clients. I have some really, really amazing clients. I want to say out of 100, like I've had, I don't know, like maybe 3 bad ones, but
yeah.
like they've been amazing. I love them. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not even gonna go down memory lane, but I'm like, there's times where I was just like overgiving, overgiving,
Mm.
overgiving, and just trying to be likable, and just wanted to grow my business and like just doing everything I can to make it successful. When in reality, it's like I had to do like inner work and heal some things and, go a different route. It wasn't about, learning the latest marketing strategy, like how to
Mm.
do Facebook ads or how to do Instagram ads or like how to do webinars or how to, grow my mailing list. It wasn't any of that. I'm not saying none of that works.
No,
it works.
It does. Like, I mean, those are tactics, right? Like they have their place, but I don't know, I sometimes feel like we so often, because it's so easy to focus on apparent lack of skill, that we kind of like always put that to the forefront while we don't want to deal with like the nasty stuff, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I know I'd
exactly.
rather learn about Facebook ads than heal my childhood wounds today, right? Like,
Literally. You become obsessed with like, are people signing up for my email list? When in reality, we should be looking. Some of us, I speak for myself,
well, that's the scenic route, right? Like, there's no blueprint or whatever. Like, it's just, I don't know, we're speaking for ourselves. We're telling our stories and what was true. And I'd say for a lot of us, the way forward is the way inward, right? Like,
yeah.
you gotta figure some shit out first. And Jesus, if I'd known before I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2017 like that, it would be so much shit I'd had to deal with. I don't know. I've still become probably an entrepreneur because I don't know. It was always a really bad employee. Or bad in relative terms. So I don't know. I wasn't quite prepared to deal with so much shit. Like, I don't know. Another childhood trauma. Yay. Whoa. Which one are we dealing with today? Woohoo.
I know. Yeah, I never. So in the beginning, I had like, I don't want to call it, well, I guess it was trust issues. I'll just give it that label. Like, I had a hard time like trusting to bring on a team, like I had tried out like 2 virtual assistants. One was like not as available as I thought she would be. So I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work out. And then another one didn't really do so well. Like, in a moment that I really needed her, I'm like, wait, how did you mess that up? Like, we went over it. But anyway, I realized that's something that, somebody in like the first grade, like, she was my friend at the time, but she like messed me over. And then I had these trust issues later in my business. So like the childhood stuff came up and I didn't realize that until like, I was deep in a healing session. And I'm like, are you serious? That moment in the first grade, that girl that like stole my stickers, that's why I can't do this?
Fuck her. And I'm like, just gonna let this shit go.
Literally, I was like, no way. I was like, wow, I didn't realize that's how it shows up for you later. Well, for me, yeah.
Right. And it's what it makes it so interesting. And that's why also we need support in untangling this, right? Because like we sometimes don't know consciously what is connected, right? Like, we just have a hunch, maybe.
Yeah.
And we're just like, wait a minute. Yeah, that's interesting. When that's a huge thing, right? Like, when you're starting out, especially when you're a solopreneur, and then suddenly you're at a point where like, okay, I gotta bring on people, right? Like, whether that's in a freelance role or like a employee role, whatever, right? I mean, so trust is the same thing. It doesn't really change with the label you stick on it. But yeah, I don't know. I really had to, it resonates so deeply with me. Like, I really had to ask myself, okay, am I just having really high expectations of the role I'm looking to fill? Or is it my trust? Or is it something else like trust issues or whatever? Or perfectionism on my part? Or like, for me, it wasn't really trust issues per se, but it was like, due to my childhood trauma, I had kind of like this, and I still have it to some degree, like the notion of I have to get this done by myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I cannot more a sense of rely on anybody else to get me out of there. I have to get it done myself. And that, interestingly enough, while we're talking about old connections and things, that I could trace that back to like my very first experience. Like, I went into NICU when I was born. And I kind of had that note, well, I have to get out of here because there is no one here and I have to get out of this box. And it's just me. I have to get myself out of it, right? I have to get better.
Wow, yeah. And you were a baby. You were a newborn.
Yeah. I was like a couple of hours old. And I had like yellow fever and like water in my lungs and stuff. So like, and I mean, it wasn't for so long, but I don't know. That was kind of like the whole thing of I have to get this done by myself. And it was really hard to untangle because like, I was like, what is it? Like, I worked with teams before. I don't know. Right. It's really interesting to untangle, and I don't know. I don't want to say like, yeah, interesting is probably the right word. It's not really pleasant, but it's healing
Yeah,
for sure.
I think, getting the awareness of what, maybe holding us back is huge. And that there's people out there, that are willing to help others get through that. So seeking
Yeah.
support, this is not like I was very much like, I'm going to do this journey alone. I'm a solopreneur. I used to hang that flag so high and proud and be like, I just get to do everything by myself. Dumbest thing in the world. But what I realized is like it takes a village.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I have coaches, I have mentors,
Yes.
I have a team now. I have some amazing assistants that I trust, and they're so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, true,
And
right? Like
yeah,
it's
like I couldn't get here alone. It takes a village. There's that meme or that quote that goes around online, like we have the same hours as Beyonce in a day. And I'm like, yeah, but
yeah.
she has a village, people.
Yeah. She has like a whole fucking city.
Literally.
Yeah, I really hate this Pinterest quote. It's really like, yeah, but no. You can bend time as much as you want and you can tomato the shit out of the tomato method, but you're still no.
Yeah, and so for me in the beginning, it was really hard to ask for help. It was really hard to be like, wait, I can do this alone. That's just how I am. I love being alone,
Yeah.
kind of like a hermit sometimes, or, but no, I realized I couldn't, if I was going to do it all alone, I was never going to get anywhere. And that
Yeah.
was like my first 3 years, like, fighting that, like, I don't need help. I could do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to self-teach myself this. I'm just going
Oh,
to
yeah.
DIY it. And then finally surrendering to like, no, I can be helped, but like get that one-on-one support and things like that. That's when things started to change for me. So
wow. Yeah, right. I remember when I was in corporate, like I swore like, okay, I never want to have a team. I never have freelancers or employees because just the whole admin side of things, like it was like, no, Jesus, dear Lord, please no. That was really holding me back. Like that thought of in the first 3 years, like, it really was holding me back because I was like, no, I don't want to, like, I don't want our people work for me. It's too stressful, blah, 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 blah. And I was able to switch it to like, hey, how cool is it that with my business, I get to like pay others and they're sustaining their business and their lives and their families. Like, how cool is that? That is so cool.
yeah, that's
right?
really cool.
Exactly. But it was not just like, oh yeah, it's really cool. It was quite a journey to get there, right? Like I don't know. Corporate, I don't know. We all have our own different ways in which we're kind of like messed up, but it's cool. We're fine. We're good.
As long as we keep taking steps forward, that's all that matters.
Yeah, right? Like steps forward. Like how do you measure steps forward for you personally? Like how do you define success in your business and how do you measure it?
A success in my business, so it looks differently for everybody, right? For
I
some people,
know.
it's monetary. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have money. I love that.
Sure.
I welcome it.
Sure. I'm doing all the money welcoming manifestations there are. I like money. No problem with
Yeah,
that.
I love money. I welcome it. Thank you, universe. For me, really successful is like having inner peace and being happy. Because there was times in my business where I wasn't happy, or just times in my life where I wasn't happy, But and I see it and I hear it as well, like people with millions of billions of dollars and they're unhappy, and I'm like, I don't live in a 12-bedroom house, but my house is perfect for me.
Yeah, but like, yeah, that's the thing, right? It's you also kind of like have to figure out what you're truly in it for, right? Like
Yeah,
why you got
what
your
makes
skin in the
you
game.
happy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. And I
exactly.
mean, I don't know. I know if we would have a bigger place, we would have even more shit we don't need. And then I don't know, that would even overwhelm me even more. And then we would, I don't know. It's just like, ooh, I don't know. I can admire like the big houses and the villas with the pools and whatever. It's
Yeah, no,
like,
absolutely.
I don't know. It's not, my definition is more like, ooh, cool. Suitcases like packed in 10 minutes, we're ready to go in 15.
Yeah, exactly. Like that freedom or that like Like there was times in my business, and I still do it, where like I would like, be like, oh, when I hit this goal, like I'm going to buy that really expensive thing I've been eyeing for a while. And I would do it. I would hit the goal and I'd buy the expensive thing and I'd be so excited. Like, oh my God, I reached my goal. I manifested this. How cool. And then a week later, I'm like, I'm not wearing the shoes anymore. They're just sitting in my closet. I got the handbag, but like, I haven't even worn it out.
Yeah, I mean,
I
yeah.
unpacked it and it's sitting in my closet. And I'm like, I just want to feel fulfilled. And, for me, being able to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to sign off and go take a nap right now because my brain is on overload. That's success for me.
Napping is always success. Even more so, Mary, believe me, when you have kids, you die for a nap. Like I would sell all the shit I own for a proper nap.
Good to know. I will indulge in my naps.
Yes, like celebrate your naps. Like, I don't know, like they're the best fucking thing in the world because they are.
Yeah, no, so for me, success is really like, freedom, inner peace, feeling fulfilled with the little things because I've gotten the big things. And yeah, like you say, right? If I had more bedrooms, we'd have more shit.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's not to say, right? Like, I also have nice bags. I don't know. I just feel like if you desire something, there should be no shame on spending
Oh
something
no,
if you want it, right?
absolutely.
Like, I just make sure that they align with what I stand for. So whenever I feel like, oh, this is really like a fancy shit bag that I admire, I set a promise to myself that I'm like all these like really expensive designer things, I only buy secondhand because I don't know. There's just too much shit produced anyway. We can buy so much in good quality it's secondhand, and I just try
Yeah.
to shop more like sustainably. So I'm like, whenever I want to like, and then it's kind of like fun because you go on the hunt for that specific item you desire. Right, it's not just available to like put into cart, but you probably, I don't know, you have to maybe go to eBay or to a couple of sites and kind of like, ooh, where can I get it? I don't know. So that's always kind of like my my thing, how I approach it.
No, I love that. That's amazing. I think for me, a lot of times it's like, am I getting this because I really want this, or am I getting this because everybody else has it and I think I need it? That's been like huge for me. And that's like another thing. I don't know where I saw it floating. Like, are you, because on Instagram, right, we're constantly being shown things like, and it's like, do you want this like truly in your soul, or you want this because everybody has it? Like, are you just trying to keep up with everybody? And
Yeah.
so for me, I'm just like, I don't want to keep up with anybody except for myself.
Yes, and then Instagram does make it hard. I mean, I have to admit, not with all the things, but there are certain things where I'm like an easily influenced Instagram shopper baby. Like,
Oh, for sure.
like it's so bad. I don't know. And then especially if once you stare at something for a millisecond too long, the algorithm is gonna push it into your feed aggressively. It's the worst. Like
literally. That is literally how
or
it works.
like it's also like, why do I want it? And sometimes like, especially, tell me if that resonates, but it took me also a lot of healing from this. Like I remember in corporate, I would buy things for a certain persona I thought I would be. Like, oh, these are the shoes if I have like a fancy corner office and C-level meeting shit, right? And like, even, and I don't know, it was just like, yeah.
No, it totally resonates. I have to be really, like, now that I'm aware of it, I'm really conscious about it. The other day I had a photo shoot and I had gone to the store, got all these really cool outfits. I was like, great. I was like, the day of my photo shoot, I'll see what I keep and then, return what I don't. I ended up with all these blazers that I would never wear in my life. And I'm like, why the fuck am I putting on blazers? Because everybody else has it on their website?
Yeah, but it's so true. Like, so sometimes when I do re-runs for clients, I mean, I don't do the shoes per se, but sometimes I would work on a mood board and like they would come to me like, oh, what should I wear? And like every so often they would come with like that outfit. I'm like, this is a cool outfit, but like like I have literally never seen you in a blazer or in a white blouse or in heels the entire like past 6 weeks we've been working together. So like, are you sure? Does this like, I don't know, does it fit? Does it really fit?
I completely understand. Yeah, no, I unfortunately it was a really quick photo shoot. It was just like a mini shoot because I wanted to test the photographer. I was like, let's see how it works.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, I like my first outfit. Like, no, I don't resonate. I wore that white blazer that I will never wear in my life again. And, and that day I was just like, what am I doing? Like, who am I trying to be? And I remember being on Pinterest probably for a few weeks and just, like searching like entrepreneur branding photo shoot, and everyone had a blazer. And that's like, what did Mary go buy? Beautiful blazers.
Yeah.
I don't do any of that. My last photo shoot, because I redid it, I wore a beautiful kimono. Oh. I wear like things that like I like resonate with me. I'm like, I love so many things. I love, and I was like, and it's all my past photo shoots, I'd always wear jean jackets. And because I wanted to be like business, but like casual. Like, it makes sense now because that's just how I am. I've always been that way. Yeah. But I was trying to be, level up. And I'm like, boss does not be buying a blazer.
Oh God. Yeah. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel especially for like branding people and designers, there is like, I don't know, a special pressure to kind of like, this is how designers dress. Back when I was working in ad agencies, like all the cool designers that were all dressed in black, and were reading like these weird design magazines and I'm like, I mean, like your style, see what you're doing. I just look really shit in black, so no thank you. Right? Or when you look at like the online coaching and like, I don't know, when you look at the women or how they portray themselves, you can tell who's like a life coach.
Yeah.
Like the striped t-shirt, like the weird hat, like it's sort of kind of like, you gotta have a hat on a branding photo shoot if you're a life coach. Otherwise, sorry, no pass.
Yeah, like who made these rules? I'm not here to follow them anymore.
Yeah, but right at the same time, people are like, oh, okay, I don't know. It's always so interesting, right? But at the same time, right, like you still look at the white blazer brand photography and be like, ooh, maybe, I don't know, if I level up enough, this is how I be.
That's a keyword, if. Like, it's, you have to just, I don't know, what am I trying to go with this? You just have to stay true to yourself.
Me. Yeah, but right, like you have to be really, and that's, I feel is so dangerous when you start out. You have to be really sure of who you are. Otherwise, it's so easy to get seduced. Like, as I said, like there are a million coaches and a million courses and a gazillion freebies, and there's nothing wrong with that per se. But you so easily get influenced of doing things, like you said, like the webinar thing, where you're like, I hate fucking doing webinars. So why am I doing webinars?
Yeah, it's like you said, seduce, right? Like it's so easy to get seduced. You see the 100K months or the 10K months or the
$150K
dollars in 3 months or whatever, which I welcome $1 million whenever it wants to come to my door. But yeah, no, I was chasing that for so long. And it was just, all it was doing is actually making me feel less because I couldn't reach those goals. And I'm like, okay, like I said, I welcome $1 million, but like, I'm not going to kill myself, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, I know we could all do the 10K. I always call them like the 10K and 10-day people. Like, yeah, sure, we could all do 10K in 10 days, but are we like,
absolutely,
are we willing to? Like, are we really willing to? I would probably be, on the second day, I'd probably be like, nah, willpower is gone. Okay, bye now. So, hey, like, what do you feel like? We've talked about like the seducing of the online world, especially when you're starting out. Like, what do you feel is kind of like the biggest lie or like half truth that gets peddled around in the online biz world? Yes. Spill the tea, my friend. Spill the tea. This is fine.
I think, yeah, like the 10K in 10 days really drives me nuts because I'm like, one, it is possible, totally. But two, like the people that do accomplish that, one, they might have a team behind them.
Yeah.
They might have years of experience above, the person that's just starting.
Yes.
They might be on a completely different level of like inner knowing, confidence, and all those things.
And or also in a very different season of life, right? Like
exactly, yeah. Like don't
no
compare
kids,
day one
grown
to someone's
kids.
fifth year.
They're not caretakers. I don't know. They have they're able-bodied. Like, I don't know. You don't know, right?
Yeah, I remember I was in a program and I was really excited to be in this program because I really admired these two coaches that teamed up.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so awesome. I'm going to do their program. I'm going to get to where they're at. And it was like maybe like an 8-week mastermind or something. It was pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, cool.
And like I said, I did the program. I met some really amazing people and everything, but like I didn't get the results that I thought I was going to get. And so at the time I was like, okay, another failed program type of thing, right? I was like, oh, whatever, made some cool connections. Well,
yeah,
okay. It was worth it.
Yeah. Was worth it. Yeah.
And then a few years later, I saw one of them post like on Instagram, like share like the things that like got me to where I am today. And she mentioned like all these different healing modalities. And I'm like, girlfriend, when I was masterminding with you, you didn't talk about any of that. It was all strategy. Do this, do that, show up here, show up there.
I have such a similar experience. Oh, holy crap. Yeah.
And I'm like, you never mentioned going to therapy? You never mentioned doing this? Like, yeah, I finally learned that one on my own after.
Yeah, thank you for being a master for it. Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish you would have shared that, back then, because me with my poor failed results, I didn't make, 20K like they said I was going to. So
yeah, and that's the same thing, right? Like it's such a slippery slope as it feels sometimes, right? Like when either like when you're not getting the results and you approach these people. I once had a client who approached one of those bigger online social media people of like, hey, I did everything to the T. I don't have the results. Like, I don't know what's going, like, I know you don't promise, but I'm just curious, like, where did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
And she just like was like, oh, I feel your energy is just off. You're not in it. Like and then it was kind of like, that's the end. And she was like, I was like, okay, so what now? There's almost kind of like a form of energy gaslighting, right? When you're like, oh yeah, your energy's not in it. Well, then thank you, but can you like, yeah, exactly, with the modalities, right? Like, I don't know, like, maybe I don't know, color therapy, sound healing works for you too.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's very popular to see people like, talk about their mentors and things like that. But like, what did you do with that mentor though? Like, what did they really teach you, You're working with all these other people. Because I would, again, this one girl, I'd be like, oh my God, like her coach, he's like doing really well, or, this and that. But I'm like, what happens there? Like, well, how did I miss it? Like, I'm as much a hard worker as she is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get that. That's again, like, and you're almost like looking for validation in others when it's like, it's all within.
Yeah. It's sure an inside job. Yeah. No, but that's like a good kind of like sentence to remember. Like it's really, there will never be the outside validation, right? Like whatever you're seeking, I don't know, it's gotta come from within.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're always gotta chase the next thing, whether it's like the next course, the next partner, the next service, the next whatever, guru, lifestyle coach, whatever, right? It's never gonna be enough, really.
Yeah. And I think another thing too is there was a lot of times where like there was, I guess, a certain method or a certain service that they're like, oh, you should do this. That's how you'll get your 10K in 10 days. And I'm like, that's like literally not what I'm doing though. Like, that's like the opposite of what I'm doing. But then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go try that and like really put in my work. And I'm like, that's not even in alignment for me. Like, why am I trying to do like a coaching program, but I love working one-on-one with people.
Yeah. Like I really developed my shit list scanner. So whenever I'm looking through a sales page or something and I see this word, like certain words, I'm like, this is not a sales page for me. Thank you very much. The word
That
is
is
just
so
gonna go like,
smart.
ooh. Yeah, no. Yeah, like the whole like hustle 10K 10 day hustle, whatever, grind, girl boss, boss babe, mompreneur, like whenever those words pop up, I'm like, yeah, no, gotta get out of here.
These are not my people. I'm out. Thank
Not
you.
my people. Not my people. Yeah, no, my people are the nap people.
That's me. I love that.
I know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's this glorification of hustle that it's just, I can't.
No.
It's so elitist. Also, like I can't. Like I'm like no.
Yeah, no.
Hey, Mary, I have one more question before I let you go, and that's I'm always curious. What book are you currently reading?
Ooh.
Or which audiobook are you listening to, depending on what's your style?
No, I'm currently not listening to any.
That's cool.
If I'm being honest. But I will say my favorite book of all time that got me out of a really, really low place in my life was You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor.
You Were Born Rich. Okay, cool.
By Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor is my hero. Rest in peace. He's no longer with us.
Okay.
But yeah, he's like the audiobook is like it's like you're listening to cassette from the 80s because it's literally like an 80s seminar. But everything that he talks about back then is still relative today.
That's
And
amazing.
it completely like helped me get out of a really low place. And I even gave it to my partner, and it was really cool because it helped him too. I mean, he wasn't in a low place the way I was, but I was like, listen to this book. Let's manifest some really cool things. And we did.
That's amazing. We're going to link it in the show notes. So, hey, how can people find you online, where you hang out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on Instagram. You can find me under my name. It's Mary Alvizures. Also my last name, Alvizures. There's 2 underscores at the end, but by the time you're in the
we're also going to link
the middle of my name, Instagram will show up. Online, I have my website, shareyourmagic.co. You can check me out there and everything I have.
Yeah. And people also can be like, hey, I want to hear more of Mary. You have your own podcast too, right?
I do have my own podcast. Yes. It's the Share Your Magic.
That is amazing. So if you want to hear more of Mary, you're also very much invited to listen to Share Your Magic.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Hey, Mary, thank you so much for this really, really interesting conversation. It was beautiful to talk about our own journeys and our similarities. Thank you so much for being on
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you're doing. I love that, we're speaking like the truth. There's no like, ooh, like, throw sparkles all over this and make it like a shiny object.
Yeah.
Does nothing for you?
Yeah, no. My nickname isn't Sparkles. Yeah, sadly, no. No, but at the same time, right? That. Like, I feel there's this balance between like we're speaking our truth, we're sharing our stories without being like, this is the universal truth, like this is the gospel, which it is not.
No
by any means.
No, I just hope this inspires anybody that listens and take what serves you, forget what doesn't.
Amen.
Leave it out the window. Like I said, I was like, that was my truth, that was my story. But I, for anybody listening, I just want you to thrive and, share your magic.
That's beautiful and so on brand. I love it. Mary, thank you so much for being on the Scenic Route podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to the Scenic Route podcast. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode and that you can take something from it that feels right to you. I'd be so grateful if you could share the Scenic Route podcast with others. As always, you can head over to scenicroutepodcast.com to check out all the links and resources from today's episode. Oh, and while you're there, don't forget to download my free email course, Intuitive Branding Invitation, to teach you how you can successfully tune into your own brand frequency and rediscover your brand's unique gifts, strengths, and talents. So thanks again. Talk soon.